Hey guys, it's Lanissum today. It is a 2v2 on Napoleon on the battlefield of Ligny. I am on the left-hand side of the river, and here are the two hills on the map we're going to be fighting over. This one near the camera is on my side of the river, and the one in the distance is on my ally's side. My ally is going to attack and hold that hill, while I am going to attempt to hold this hill, and I'm sending artillery pieces as a nice view of the battlefield, and supporting that with a Lancer squadron. Meanwhile, the rest of my force crosses the river to support my ally in the main battle area. My ally precipitates the enemy's assault on the hill with a cavalry rush of his own to slow them down while he gets his forces in position, and does a significant amount of damage to enemy skirmishers as well as artillery pieces. And there goes one artillery piece right there. Meanwhile, skirmishers are getting shot up as well, actually sliced and diced. He retreats that unit. And right over here, another artillery piece bites the dust as his cavalry destroy what they can before they get destroyed as themselves. So all in all, 2 artillery pieces and a damaged skirmisher force for, I think, 2 dead horses is a pretty good trade. Meanwhile, he rushes his forces to the precipice of the hill, and the British guy, actually, I noticed he was sending more guys across the river than I had anticipated. Most notably, 2 light dragoon squadrons. Well, I only had a Lancer squadron protecting my artillery piece. So, this is the first time I've actually used them, like grape shot fires, but to 0 effect. And then my Lancers make contact with the enemy, and unlike an Empire, they totally destroyed this squadron right here. It has maybe 10 guys left right now, and it's going to rout in a few seconds. That was just scary, and I don't think my guys lost a single unit. Meanwhile, his other unit is attacking my artillery piece, but then they realize that their friends have been totally annihilated and turn to engage those guys. However, 2 cannons in that unit have survived. And this unit, the Light Dragoon Squadron here, will soon meet the same fate as its brother. Meanwhile, my ally, his name is Huntsman, and he's a good friend of mine actually, holds the hill from the Russians, and one of his rampaging cavalry units managed to kill the enemy general. A very good use of cavalry, if I can say so myself. Meanwhile, the Russians press on and attack the hill, and I send more cavalry and infantry squadron to support my artillery piece on the hill, while my allies' artillery opens fire on the attacking Russians. Meanwhile, my skirmishers move into the British left flank to engage them, while my main line infantry begin to form up for the attack, because I was quite a ways away, so it's going to take them a while. Meanwhile, these 2 artillery cannons, they're basically not doing anything offensively. However, they are attracting the attention of an entire battery of the enemy's howitzers, as well as Blackfoot, skirmisher, and I think 1 more cavalry unit. So these cannons, although useless in and of themselves, are actually rather useful in attracting an excessive amount of enemy force, while I devote relatively little force to its defense. Meanwhile, my other, not-so-useful artillery pieces are still marching to the battlefield. They don't have enough range. So my main infantry are moving to the enemy's front, as my skirmishers often distance engage the enemy, taking artillery fire. Now, the enemy has riflemen, whereas these guys only have about 100 range, and rifles have 125. However, these days, Granzers have 120 men versus riflemen's 80, so it all evens out. In the opening, shots in the skirmisher are fired. Meanwhile, he sends a cavalry unit to attack my skirmishers, but loses about half of that. One of my guys get a volley off before he attacks. Well, Huntsman gets his skirmishers, which are behind mine, ready to fire at these cavalry, since they can do that with the reduced friendly fire, as well as affect the cavalry tower over regular men. And my own cavalry off in the distance are about to attack the enemy unit right here, and it's only about maybe 14 or 15 men left, and these men here will finish it off. Now my ally is being hard-pressed to defend the hill as the Russians press the attack and enter melee. He sends his own artillery to fire upon them soon. Well, my cavalry, after taking out the enemy unit, moved to get behind the British lines and wreak havoc among their artillery pieces. And a nice overview of the battlefield there too. My mainline infantry finally got into position and will begin the attack momentarily, while the enemy skirmishers move forward to assault this hill here. My main line begins its assault on the enemy. The British have superior line infantry though, so they will take heavy casualties, while my cavalry have entered the enemy's rear and engaged his artillery pieces. However, there's a square of infantry which actually has some rather effective gunfire on my cavalry, inflicting heavy casualties on it. Meanwhile, on the hill, the situation is growing desperate for my ally Huntsman, but he turns his own artillery pieces on his men as well as the Russians, inflicting casualties on everyone probably. Meanwhile, my artillery pieces, which are in range of probably one enemy unit, open fire and make some pretty nice fireworks, but not very much damage. Meanwhile, he melee rushed one of my skirmishers and destroyed them, only to get point-blank firing range of Huntsman's infantry, which was right behind them, and throwing some artillery there too. Meanwhile, there's one unit of infantry right there that we just went by, and yeah, that unit was totally destroyed.